So the first program comes from the north of Europe. All the composers are northern composers from cold places. The first piece is by the Finnish composer Sibelius, who was a master of atmosphere. He could create the most amazing calm, but calm full of tension and anxiety. And the first piece is a piece called The Swan of Tuonela. It describes a swan swimming between and up to the Isle of the Dead, and it's for English horn. It's one of the great pieces for English horn, and it's going to be played by our first oboe, Peggy Pearson, who is much loved in this community, one of the greatest artists we have living in Boston, well known everywhere. Here, everybody who's been to a manual church or heard the Boston Philharmonic knows the exquisite sound of Peggy's oboe. But what they don't know is how she plays the English horn, because that they haven't heard, and that's going to be an exquisite entry into the concert. And on the other side of the intermission is the Nielsen Fourth Symphony, which is one of the greatest symphonies ever written. It's not very often played. In fact, when we did it 18 years ago, I didn't know it at all. The orchestra was quite unfamiliar with it. But we were all absolutely stunned by it. It was so powerful and so varied and so gripping in its effect that we've decided 18 years later to come back and play it again, revisit it. And we're equally excited this time as we were. This is a must-hear piece. People who don't know the Nielsen Fourth Symphony should come and hear the symphony. It has a riveting effect. I can talk a little bit more about that. But in the middle is the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto, which everybody knows. There isn't anybody who hasn't heard on WCRB or on a record or somewhere or been to a performance of the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. However, in this case, we're playing with a very unusual soloist. This is somebody who I came to know last year. He came to play with the Boston Philharmonic. His name is Ilya Kaler. He's a Russian violinist, and it turns out that he's one of the greatest violinists in the world. We didn't know that. Everybody was just riveted by Ilya Kaler, by his incredible mastery, by his intelligence, by his beautiful personality, by his giving nature. And he played the Szymanowski's second concerto, and I was so stunned by his playing that I invited him back immediately. I've never done that before. Immediately, the next concert, he should come back and play the Tchaikovsky. The Tchaikovsky is his piece. It's the piece with which he won the Triple Crown of competitions when he was young. This was 30 years ago. And it's an extremely characteristic performance. He's Russian, he understands that music from the inside, and he's going to teach us all how he feels this concerto should go. I called him the other day and said, I also have some thoughts about it. He said, oh, I'm happy to hear all the thoughts, and we're going to put it together. He's going to be here for a week, and we're going to work together and put together a performance of the concerto, the most familiar of concertos, but I think it'll come out sounding unfamiliar, fresh, new, exciting, and to hear Ilya Kaler play is an extraordinary experience.